Everyone, it's just gone 11 o'clock in the morning here in Les Sables d'Olonne, and going to give you an update on weather and the entrance and bits and pieces. But before we get into that, we're actually looking at Tapio right now. Good news that Robin turned up. Just a reminder, Robin's actually not part of the activity of the Golden Globe at the moment. He's entered into the 22 race, and you've probably read the reports. You know, he had a local passage going across, set up a safety watch with his brother, and said that if he wasn't back by Tuesday morning, something must be wrong. And his brother waited another 24 hours till Wednesday morning, and then alerted Falmouth, and Falmouth contacted the French Rescue Coordination Centre here at TEL, and they contacted us seeking any information we had, which we did. Then over the next 2 days, the situation was being monitored. They put out the all ships alert, and on Friday morning, Falmouth rang us with serious concerns because he was way overdue and nothing had been heard. There was a bit of confusion as to what comms Robin may have on board, a few other issues. We gave them as much information as we could, and the objective at that point on Friday morning was to get the word out and tell people Robin was unheard of, and that's why we put the posts up on Facebook to spread the word as well at that time, which was and in the words of Falmouth, yes, they were seriously concerned for his well-being, and that's why we reported that there. And it's fantastic that he's popped up. He was reported at 25 miles southwest of the Scilly Isles last night, about midnight local time here in France, and he's expected in or sometime this afternoon into Falmouth, and I'm sure he'll get up somewhere and answer all the questions about what happened and how it evolved, and there'll be some interesting information there. But anyway, he's all well, and no dramas. The other thing I'd say is here, just while we're going into this, as you may know, some of these reports, the tracker updates, actually are recorded. The audio is recorded and it's transmitted to the entrance at sea via ham radio, which is all very interesting, and that's all fine. However, if you're listening to this now, as you'll see, in relation to Mark and Jean-Luc, we'll be giving some detailed weather analysis and making projections on where they may go and where they possibly should go. So we'll be sending a notice to the managers of all the entrance sailing saying that as of now, anyone given a recording of these weather updates may be considered to be weather routing, because if the entrance were to hear the discussions that we have on the weather, particularly, as I say, as it gets close to the finish line, some of that information may give the entrance an advantage. So it's now forbidden for that. Well, they need to be aware that if we feel that that information is considered to be routing is particularly banned from the GGR, and they would face a penalty. So it's in their interest not to receive the recordings now of these updates, either in French or in English, as it could be construed to be routing, and we don't want to give any particular entrant an advantage over any other. So just be aware of that if you're recording this audio. Don't send it to the entrance. Okay, so this is Tapio's current situation. His position is from 2 hours ago. It was 8 o'clock UTC. It's now 10 o'clock UTC. And he was making 4.2 knots heading out to the east, doing okay. And he's done well. He got a little bit north from his original position, and you can see there's a fair bit of wind in here. That'll be gusting 65, maybe even higher. The sea is getting up. If we look at the sea state now, this is 8-9 meters in here. So at the moment he's got 6 meters, 7 meters building, and it will, as it goes through, if we push that through, it dies down a little bit because the system started breaking up, but he'll get 7-8 meter seas. I'm pretty certain of that in this lot, but he is in a good position there, right up the top. So we'll go back to wind and we'll watch what happens here. So I'll just punch that through now every 3 hours, and I'll build it up one more scale now so you can see as it goes through. Pull him down a bit here, and that's 3 hours. So it's gonna pass. Oh, hang on, I got to click that. Okay, So it's going to pass pretty much below him. So he's probably going to experience there, that'll be 50 knots, gusting 55 or so. It started from the northwest and it's now at that point swung around to the west, but it's already, that's the peak. So he's done well, and you can see this blue area has decreased. So he's right at the point where it's just starting to weaken and get away. So all things are looking good there, and that's a good solid westerly breeze. It'll be like a constant 40, gusting 45 maybe, and then it slowly backs off. You know, there's 35 to 40 and making great time. So all is well for this particular storm that's gone underneath him. Now I'll just come back here and give you a look at what's happening next. We've put him on another weather alert for the 15th, and there was a big storm that was going to come down from the north straight over the top of him here on the 15th, which is still 3 days in advance, but it's currently changed track and it's now going to the southeast. So previously I said to Tapio he had to get to the east really fast. He needed 480 miles over here to get to the other side of it. Now he can't do that. So we're saying to him in this current alert not to go past this 110 degrees west longitude before midnight on the 15th, and you'll see why. I'll just keep pushing this through. This is an animation. There goes the 13th. By then he's probably, well, we've told him after the storm to start heading down in a southeasterly direction down here. Here it comes up to the 15th. This is the start of it there. It starts to form up, and right where he would have been, this is, well, it's actually slowed up a bit, and it's interesting. We've got a new forecast that it's slowed up and dropped. But rather than be there, we've suggested he comes down here and not cross this longitude, the 110 west longitude, before midnight on the 15th of January, and then it should go in front of him. And that would be very good. By then, you'll probably find he's going to be down here somewhere, so he'll miss that one. And if we look at then what's coming, it's all pretty good for the next number of days. He's basically, he'll be down here. He's got good following northwesterly winds that are going to go right through for 3 or 4 days. So if we just open that up, you'll see there's the 17th, there's the 18th. He'll be down here by then. There's the 19th. Big westerly airflow to push him along. There's the 20th. Same thing again. No big storms projected at this far out anyway, right through to the 20th. So once that blow goes through, he'll be underneath it and then making his way to the Horn. He's still got a fair way to go. If we do a distance, he hasn't made a lot of ground in the last week. He's currently still on 1,900 miles, so it's 1,900 miles, and that's a great circle route. He won't do that, but he'll probably go close. He could go close to the Great Circle now, and that's still going to take him a while. He won't be out before the end of January, but at least these winds are pushing him along. So all's looking pretty good for Tapio for now. Just get over these big winds. No storm. The current storm's gone under him. And there it is there. It'll pass nicely underneath him, and then he'll dip down, go below the next one. So all looking good. Now we'll go over here to Istvan. It's a funny thing here. Istvan's catching up to Uku. I don't want to say that too loud. He's got a long way to go. But I have to say Uku's run into some light winds and some funny weather in the last week or so, and Istvan's actually caught up ground. So let's just have a look. It's an interesting discussion point, just to let Istvan dream a little bit and make Uku hurry up a bit. He's currently 1,200 nautical miles away from Uku. So still a long way, but in the next few days, Uku's got more challenges than Istvan, so you might see Istvan take out a bit more time on Uku before he actually gets up to the trades. So Istvan's pretty happy. He's doing 7.8 knots at the moment, so that's probably an understatement. He's doing, he'd be really happy, but he doesn't know he's doing that speed right now because a bit of it's current. I had a look in the wee hours of this morning. If we look at the currents here now, you can sort of see what's going on. He's getting a kick every now and then, and you can see huge currents there. This current here is like, that's probably close to 3-4 knots in that blue, and fortunately he's not there, but he got a bit of a boost along this one, so he was happy with that, and now he's cutting across this, so it's suggesting to me, normally if the current's going across the middle of the boat, you're not getting a real advantage going north, but he's definitely got a current there. I doubt whether he'd be sailing at 7.8 knots, so this current diagram might not be totally correct, but you can see if he keeps going on this track, he's going to get another lift there and another lift there, and that's all going to help his cause. So we come back to the weather, and let's just look at what happens here. We'll go forward a day. Nice breezes all on the beam. So for the next 24 hours, Istvan's flying. Istvan's flying. Here comes that Chinese program again. Okay, so there's then by the end of the 13th, now the 12th, by the end of the day it lightens off, but it's still going in the right direction. Come through to the 14th, he's going to slow down a little bit. We go through to the 15th, and he's got headwinds. This is interesting. So by then he'll be over here. Depends how quickly that one moves across. So certainly a bit of frustration here. Yeah, that's going to be frustrating as well. So we're on a big scale there. Well, he'll still be okay. He'll be still going north, and he'll make some decisions. So, okay, so it doesn't look as if he will make as good a progress as I thought. There's been an update here on the weather, because I looked at this a few hours ago, and it wasn't quite showing that. The weather updates for the computer modelling actually takes place about 3 times a day. About every 8 hours they put a new computer model underneath, which then generates the diagrammatic that you're seeing here. And yeah, it's changed a little bit. So anyway, but no storms, so he's going to be reasonably okay with that lot. Uku right now going all the wrong directions, doing 3.5 knots, and showing here absolutely no wind. So I'll just pick that up a bit so you can get a better impression. If we go forward a day here, starting to get a bit of a southeasterly breeze, so he'll start, keep moving at a light rate, nothing spectacular. And then he's got this whole area here of very light winds. This is only 10 knots, 15 maximum in some of these. Lots of potholes everywhere with no wind, so that's going to create challenges as he goes north. And it's going to hold for quite a few days. You can see there's general instability, but at least the flow is coming from the east, so normally that will mean that he can slowly keep creeping north, which is a good thing. He's out of his storm band. He's not going to attract any storms now. If we pull this away, you can see he's in this transition zone before he gets to the real southeast trades. But if you remember, I mean, Uku's right down here now. If you remember when Mark and Jean-Luc came through here, there was pretty solid headwinds there, but these southeasterly winds extended right down to here. That was a band of southeasterly winds, and they've certainly lightened off. So Uku's going to be going slower than they did at that rate, because here's the corner, and you can see the trade winds here. The southeasterlies are very insignificant, a little bit fluffy, no real drive to them. So Uku's got to work hard to get his northing, but that's life. So he's looking okay. So now we come up to the main game, the one that everyone's interested in, and this is getting very complicated. So because there's a few issues now. Obviously they need to get their boat speed going, and then they've got to think about the weather up ahead. So Mark's making 4.4 knots. The wind's lightened off a bit, the sea's down a bit, so he'll be at a point higher. And Jean-Luc's run into some sort of reasonably solid headwinds. He's on port tack now, which is the damaged side of his mast, making 3.6 knots in reasonably solid winds that are going to increase. These winds are currently showing there, that'd be 20 knots on the nose. So if you're making 3.5 to it, apparent wind is 23, 25 knots, something like that. And these, where the colour's changing here, it's getting stronger. So we should be able to monitor this both in real time every 3 hours, so we can see what's going on. So I'll click it forward 3 hours. Okay, Mark is definitely lightening off a lot. Up here, Jean-Luc, okay, the bigger winds are backed off, so he's still got the same wind direction, but not as strong. Again, Mark is light, so I think you're going to see the relative positions hold the same for the next day, because Jean-Luc's not going fast to windward, he's going slow, 3.6. Mark is going to have light winds, but his rig is good for that, no furling gear, bigger rig, he'll be maintaining 4.4, so he could still keep gaining. Also the course, if you look at Mark's course, if he can hold that, and I don't think he will, because here, for instance, showing on the nose, he's going to have to tack out one way or the other. He won't be able to go straight dead into that wind, of course. So I think overall they'll probably, in the next 24 hours, hold their relative distance apart, but be changing their course. and Jean-Luc's, his breeze is starting to lighten off. The calms here are going to start to catch up with Mark. So this is about 30 hours ahead for Mark. So let's look at the distance, 30 hours at 5. So he's going to be, come on, where's the second one? I can't get the second range. I'm just trying to work out where he'll be here. Okay, there's one, there's the other one. Okay, so with 30 hours, 550 miles, going to be a fair way up there. Yep, so he might just hang on to it. He's going to be up here somewhere at that time. So I'll just drop that back a bit. Yeah, so he might just hang on to this dying breeze and keep moving. So that'll be good for him. And now Jean-Luc by then will be up here somewhere. And let's just look at the big picture to see what's happening up front, because this is where it's starting to get. I'll go down one more just so you can see where they're relative. Here's the finish. Here's the Azores. The big decision is where you go here, and this is what Jean-Luc will be thinking about as well, because that's day 1. Let's go through to day 2. So this is 2 days ahead. No wind. Now, if Jean-Luc, this is why I don't want the guys hearing about this. They can get their weather forecast, but I don't want this recorded and given out. Jean-Luc probably already knows there's a big calm happening here. He doesn't want to go over that side of the course. Even though these are headwinds, he's got to stay here because that's where the breeze is. Mark, for now, doesn't matter. He's going to have breeze coming up, but he's got a challenge because as he comes over here, it's going to keep pointing probably even harder on the nose, and Jean-Luc's still got challenges as well. So we go through another day to the 15th. You can see no wind. Jean-Luc cannot drive through that, even though there's a huge incentive to do it. I don't think he'll try. He'll probably know he's got to stay over in this breeze. So that's there. Then the 16th. This is another day. Okay, the breeze is filled in. Now, both of them at this stage, at this point, so that's the 16th, 4 days ahead. Not sure where Mark will be. Mark might be up here somewhere. Jean-Luc could be over here somewhere, but that's gone to the east, so Mark can get a drive on and might catch up a bit, you know. So in 4 days' time, they've still got this blocking area to get through. But now you'll see, I'll disappear from the boats, this is the sleigh ride. This is the start of the trip back home. And somehow, at some point, they've got to make a decision to try and head over here. Because if they stay this side, you'll see that the high pressure system is just going to hang there, and these are headwinds. Somehow they've got to get over to the other side and sneak around the top of the Azores, because if you watch what happens, this is 2 days ahead, you can see this is fantastic. If one of them gets over here first, they got a huge lift. They're actually coming up way here. The finish is over here. Here's Le Sable d'Olonne over here, and this is the start of the sleigh ride. If Jean-Luc can push across to this one, at some time, and he's not going to be able to do it before about the 16th because there's that big hole, and by then he might be committed up here somewhere and it's harder to get across. But if Jean-Luc can get into this, he's off. He's just rocketing, because you watch every day now. There's the 17th. If we go through to the 18th, okay, it just gets more intense, and not only that, it starts to come down. So you can see, if you get the wrong side of this, you can't get across. But if they're already over here, they're going to ride quickly across the top of the Azores, and they can get huge grounds up here. And then I'll just do this every 3 hours. It gets very complicated because it starts to come down. That's still a great ride in. So they're going to be getting a rocket. This is the 18th. So that's 6 days ahead, but they won't be there by then. Where will they be? So 6 days, that's going to be about 700 miles or something. Let's see. If everything went perfect in the real world, they're probably not even going to be at the Azores at this time, because they'll fluff around here and go this way, and then somehow they've got to get across. They'll be around here. So, but you can see it's the start of the traditional run in and get up into the Bay of Biscay. So, it's going to be interesting, you know. Yeah, just to see, you know, I'm trying to explain, just to see who's going to get the other side of this calm over the next few days and start pushing northeast, because you can see now, even on the 19th, it's 17th, 18th, 19th, they're there. It's still all good breezes, and then this will be the next transition zone. So right through to the 20th, by then they'll only be a week away. They'll be up here somewhere, and it changes again. There's headwind, so the guys behind, watch this space. It's really a bit hard to call. But just to review, the next week, is going to be very, very interesting because they've got frustrating headwinds. Remember, I'm going to punch this through and try and animate it. Jean-Luc, if we just look at Jean-Luc, he's got headwinds. He's got to try and stay there. And then this no-go zone to the left, no-win zone, is going to get bigger and move across. So he'll still be frustrated here coming up. There's no way he can get caught over this side. He's got to stay in this breeze, even though it's headwinds. Slowly come up here and then somehow hook up on this light stuff and start getting across the top here into the other side. They need to get over here to hook up to the start of the southwesterlies here and push around. So going to be very challenging, going to be very hard to predict exactly what's going on, but they both want to be at the finish first. So watch this space. That's about it. See you in a few hours for live question and answers and an update, and we'll expand on all the bits and pieces going on now. Thanks for that. See you later.